everyone. Welcome to the Wonder Series. This is your weekly opportunity to wonder how life would be if you looked at it from another perspective. If you changed your mindset and opened yourself up to the possibilities. Who would you be? What would you create? And ultimately, how could this help you live that healthy, happy life that you are absolutely meant to live? Hello again, everyone. I'm Denise Stiegel. I am the CEO and curator at livinghealthylist.com, and of course, your host for the Wonder Series. So this month, we've been talking about thankfulness and gratitude, obviously with Thanksgiving at the end of the month of November. It's really something that's on the forefront of our minds. And gratitude is something that we seem to talk about a lot, but maybe not really practice on a regular basis. So we've been really talking about how we can bring gratefulness or gratitude into our lives and really up-level our life and enjoy life at a greater level, let's say. So today you are absolutely going to love my guest today because I know I do. So let me ask you this. If you feel like your focus, feel like you're focused on what's urgent over what's important. Focus on what's urgent, what's important. That's kind of important, right? Lissa is a life and business priorities coach for women over 40. She teaches and inspires women to rethink and realign your priorities in 7 key areas of life to create a more balanced and fulfillment, in this season of your life. So ladies, if you're 40 and over, you need to be listening to Lissa. Lissa, hi, how are you today?
Hey, Denise, it's so great to be here. And I'm just going to say, if you're not 40 yet, please stick around, because if I could have thought about these things and talked about these things much earlier in my life, I would have, and who knows where I would be right now. So yes, let our hindsight be your foresight.
Absolutely. It's so true. So I'm a few years older than you. So I actually have a decade on you. And I agree. You know, when I was 40, I had no idea that the things that would be different in 10 years at age 50, personally, professionally, hormonally, emotionally, all of that stuff. And I think it's something that we really don't prepare. We're never prepared for. I don't know if it's, our parents didn't tell us, our teachers didn't tell us. And I think when it comes to gratitude, it's something that, mom and dad would always say, make sure you say please and thank you. And I think that's really where it started and stopped.
I agree. And I'm going to say that for me, there was a shift at 40, and I'm close to 50 now too. There was this shift from the having, and accumulating all those things, the family, the house, the Pinterest looking living room, whatever those accolades are that you grew up thinking that was what you wanted in life, to shifting after 40 to the more being things, right? And that the more thinking about like, who am I and how am I of service and what impact am I making and what difference am I making and what legacy am I creating? And so I think gratitude really, obviously we always need it, but I think even more so, we start to really appreciate that after this point in life, because we're looking at the clock going, wow, I'm already at 40. This just keeps going quick. And B, just because we have a deeper appreciation for life and, the things that really matter, right?
Absolutely. And I would agree that decade between 30 and 40 is really that time where you're really pulling it all together. Like you said, family, career, whatever it might be, everything you've done up to that point is, all that preparation. That the years between 30 and 40, that's the work. That's the hard work. Mm-hmm. Not that we don't work hard moving forward, but that's really the time that I think that we put in the hours and the time and the effort to get to the point where we get on the other side at 40. And yes, a lot of us go, now what? But
right.
We get to that point, and that's refreshing, but it's also scary.
Yes, because it's like, what's next, right? And I think we have a tendency, especially in those 30s, and it can bleed into the 40s and beyond. There's this comparison-itis that happens So whether it's comparisonitis with other people, and social media has only made that, I mean, back when I was in high school, I got my 17 magazine once a month. And that's about all that I saw of what other people were wearing, what they look like, you know. Whereas now my daughter's got a phone that every single day, I mean, if she wanted to, and if her parents allowed her to, she could 24/7 be looking at these images and comparing herself. And so I think that is definitely can something be that robs us of thankfulness and gratitude, because we're looking at what everyone else has or what we don't have. And then I think we have the comparisonitis with our own expectations and what we thought we were going to have, or what we thought we deserved, or what, you know, what that picture was in our head when we got married or had kids or took that job or started that business. And it's very easy to let our focus go to the things we don't have. You know, and they say where your focus goes, your energy flows, you know, and it's so true. And that's why gratitude is so key.
No, it's so true. I think it's really one of those things that we're always looking at what we have. And the more we get, it seems that we don't have enough. But one of the things that I really appreciate when it comes to gratitude is when you have gratitude in your life, it really makes what you have enough.
Yes.
Not that you don't still work towards things, but you don't need to have more things.
Yes. I like to operate from what I call grateful anticipation. So it's this balance between anticipating what I will have and what I want, because I still have goals and dreams. And I would venture to say those things are bigger now in my 40s, now that I know who I am, right? And what I feel like God has called me to do. And so looking forward to those things, you know, and working on that at the same time, expressing gratitude for what I already do have, right? And so it's this balance, because if we just stay in the present and we're never looking to the future, right, we're going to be stuck. But if we're always looking to the future and not appreciating the present, then we're missing out on sometimes the little things that, you know, we already have, right?
Right. And I think also if we're always looking forward, we're not enjoying what we have in front of us. You know, we're not enjoying our family. We're not enjoying our health. I mean, at this stage in life, like I still feel pretty darn good. I may not feel this great when I'm 90.
Right. Yeah. So appreciate it now, right? Yeah. Exactly. I like to say, and I like to work on this with myself, but also with my clients. What's in your hand? You know, like let's start with where you are, because let's be honest, compared to most of the world, we are rich. I mean, we have abundance. We have so much, right? And so what do you have? You know, and really stopping to appreciate and notice and pay attention to what you have. And then, you know, yes, there may be some things you want to build on from there, but like you said, if you're not appreciating what you already have, more is never going to be enough. It will always be this constant striving after this elusive, I don't know, right? Thinking that that's going to be the answer and that's what's going to, you know, make you feel that feeling that you think you're supposed to feel.
Right. And that, I think that really happens often with career. You know, we're always looking to that next thing, you know, whether it's the next promotion, the next job, the next, you know, the bigger car, the bigger house, the bigger, you know, always looking forward and forward. And then you get to a place where you have all that and maybe you're burnt out and you're tired and maybe you haven't been doing something that you really enjoy. And if you are experiencing it at the time that you are growing and find great gratitude in that, by the time you get to that level, whatever that level is, you know, we all have kind of different ideas with our careers. Once you get there, you know, you may have gone, you know, kind of like taken the crooked climb, like most people, but I think so many of us have this idea, especially when we're in our 20s and we're in college and we're just starting out, we're looking, you know, I want this, where, you know, to get there, you know, it might be kind of a windy road. And I think
rarely is that path a straight path. And looking back, I wouldn't have wanted it to be a straight path, because I would not be the person that I am at this point to truly appreciate, you know, and to be able to handle some of those, you know, where I am now. I didn't, you know, I often say if I would have found what I'm doing now in my 20s, like, wow, where could I be? And yet I wasn't ready at that point. So in some ways I'm thankful for that crooked climb, because it's allowed me, you know, the experiences and the failures and the successes that have grown me into who I am, so I can do what I'm doing now. And I know it's only going to keep going, right? I can't wait to look back from 80 and go, oh my goodness, look how 40 was like forever ago. Look what's happened, right?
Exactly. And you're right. You know, at 20, you couldn't have been a life coach.
Right.
There wasn't the experience. And I think, you to really appreciate the experiences. And some of them are ups and some of them are downs. We don't always have, just positive stuff in our lives. Sometimes we have tough times. We go through tough times, but finding some gratitude in that also. Yes. Would you speak about that a little bit more in depth, really to find that gratitude in times that aren't so great, whether it's personally, professionally, whatever it might be?
Yes. So the theme of my life and my business and my coaching is repurposed. And it's this whole concept of taking experiences, maybe things that you are, maybe education you have, maybe things that excite you, but taking things from, who you have been and then repurposing them, which means to give new purpose or use to use it in a different way. And so I host a podcast called Repurposed After 40. And I was recently asked on someone else's podcast, what is the common thread that you see going through the people you interview? And I said, it's that women have been through these experiences. Most of them have been difficult or challenging. Most of the women I interview are not like, yep, everything's just been, rainbows and unicorns ever since I left college. And now I'm, doing this and it's just amazing. Most of them have been through some really, really hard stuff. And what they've done is they've repurposed that experience to help other people who are going through that, right? To be able to provide for them what they needed at that time or what they wish they would have had at that time. And, and you can only do that when you are able to have an attitude of gratitude looking back, and I've had people say to me, I had a woman say that I just interviewed yesterday. She said, I'm not saying that, I wished this on everyone, but I am grateful that this happened because it is what has made me who I am today and what is allowing me to impact women in the way that I am. And when I just heard that, because when she went through was really heartbreaking. Wow. For someone to be able to see the purpose in that and give thanks for the hard things, that's the epitome of living repurposed. And that's what gives us joy, right? That happiness is just that circumstantial feeling versus the joy that's the deep down, there's a purpose in this and I can give thanks in this, even if I don't like it right now.
Absolutely. I was thinking when you were talking about the person you were just speaking to yesterday, I had a similar conversation with someone a few months ago, and she lives in California. Her house was on fire because of the wildfires a handful of years ago, and literally had to start over. And so many people would just crumble. None of us know how we would handle something unless you're right in that situation. But I was so impressed, like you were saying, how this woman could completely take that experience that I just can't even imagine how one gets through that. And say, you know what? Maybe what I had wasn't what I was supposed to have, or I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. And she said, it kind of made me feel like I had a clean slate.
Right. Yeah. Which is a gift that most of us don't get. Right. But we don't know that because all we can see is our experience. And I really think gratitude is a mindset. I think it is a choice to give thanks. And then I think it's something we have to keep practicing. It's like a muscle that you have to keep developing. And so I'm a systems girl. I used to be a teacher in the classroom. So I always had systems and, things like that for my students. And so I was sitting down the other day and thinking, how can I practice more gratitude? And I came up with 3 little tips. If I can share, would that be okay?
Oh, that's perfect. Absolutely.
Okay. And they rhyme, so it makes it easy to remember. So here's the teacher in me coming out. Okay. So I'll tell you the 3 and then I'll go back and just give you a quick blurb on what they are. So notate, celebrate, and elevate. Okay. So notate is like taking notice, like being aware. I think it's so easy to just walk past things. This morning I was standing at my kitchen sink and just the angle of the sun and the way that it was coming in that window with the fall leaves was just beautiful. And so I noticed it, and I caught myself noticing that, or I noticed my dog just laying on the deck this morning. She's a Bernese mountain dog, so she loves the cooler weather. So she would just lay there and she's, the sun's coming up and she's just laying, looking. And so, sometimes we don't pause to notice. So that first one is just be aware. And a great thing to do is to have a gratitude journal, even if it's just a bullet point, and every day I'm going to bullet point, the things that I notice so that way, I think you're going to start noticing more, right? When you do that. So that's notate. The second one is celebrate, so I think celebrate is where now we like, quote unquote, throw a party, and especially if there's, if there's someone who's been the source of whatever that blessing was. So, if this, the sunlight this morning is a gift from God. Thank you, Lord, for this beautiful sun that's shining in my window and this beautiful fall day that you created and, that you've allowed me to live in. And, or maybe it's a person who did something for you, so taking the time to not just notice, but to say thank you. And, and if we can do that publicly, not only for that person to notice, but maybe even other people, see and hear, I think that draws other people into the party too. And then that third one is really where if you want to take things to the next level, to elevate, like, don't just keep that blessing to yourself, right? Like, how can I share this with other people? Like, this is something I'm grateful for. How could I, make this even bigger? So I don't know, maybe, you love the fall leaves and you live in a neighborhood that there are always kids outside. And so you rake up a big pile of leaves and invite the neighbor kids to come jump in it, right? And so you're sharing that with them, or you send a text to some friends about, what you're thankful for, what you noticed. And, that's going to encourage and inspire them to be looking for things like that as well. So notate, celebrate, elevate. That's how I'm helping to keep that top of mind, especially, during the season, but it's an all year long mindset, right?
And that's the piece that we have to remember. It really is an all year mindset. And actually wrote mindfulness down. Because when you notice things, you really do start to become more mindful of, the moment. I think so much, and the New Yorker in me is still there, even though I've lived in the Midwest for almost 19 years. I'm constantly, from the minute I get up to the minute I go to bed, go, do. And I've gotten a lot better. Like I said, I've been here for almost 19 years in the Midwest, where things are much different, there's a slower pace. It's a more calming pace. It's a more natural pace, to be quite honest. But
wherever you live, it's still a choice, right? And I like that word mindfulness, because mindfulness is a choice. You can choose to be mindful and to express gratitude, even in the midst of hustle and bustle, and it's just that it's a mindset of, I'm going to choose to look around and notice and, and appreciate it, right?
So I'm looking over the camera out my window, and I am appreciating, we have our first snow here in Minnesota, which is actually late for here. And most people know I'm not a big winter person. I don't like to be cold, but I love the snow. It's so pretty. And so I have my fireplace on and just having just a little bit of snow flurries. And I have to say, I don't know that I would have noticed that 5 years ago.
Right, right. And here's what's interesting. There are other people that are living right around you that are looking at that same snowfall. And guess what? They're complaining. It's here already. I got to start thinking about shoveling. I hate slush. I don't like the cold. And it's interesting because our experiences, our circumstances are neutral. It's snowed, right? That's just a neutral thing. It is, right? Where our choice comes in is, how am I choosing to respond to that? By choosing to have an attitude of gratitude and, and appreciate the good in it, even if maybe winter's not your favorite thing, we can still see the beauty in it and the appreciation of it, versus the person who's going to choose to see all the things they don't like about it and how this is going to infringe on everything else that they want. And, it's just like this, then it just becomes this snowball, right? And it will just take us one direction or the other. Because I find the more that gratitude flows out of my heart, out of my mouth, the more the blessings come, like it just invites more of that in. And not that I'm doing it so that I will get that result, but I think it's just a natural result of being grateful.
Definitely. Well, think of the people that who are constantly, the grumblers, and everything's always, everything's a problem. Everything is so woe is me. And versus the person who is like, oh, yep, it's snowing, no big deal. And they just kind of always have this more positive mindset. That positive person has more positive things happening to them. It's just, they attract more positive people. Think of, who's the person that you want to be around? The ho-hum person or the, hey, things are great person?
Exactly. And who do you want to be around? I mean, it's no fun, even in your own head, to always have the negative Nelly going on and being like, and I'd much rather, enjoy the conversations in my head than, always be frustrated. Right.
Absolutely. When you write in a journal, when you tell people, hey, gratitude is a mindset. It is something that you really do need to start. You can make decisions on, you can start to work on. When do you suggest people start writing in a journal? Is it daytime, nighttime, anytime? You know, what do you personally find works for you?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've tried different times of my day, and I don't know that I have nailed it down to what's my favorite. I definitely like in the morning because I like to focus on, that mindset of abundance and how much, God has already given me as I enter into my day instead of thinking about all the things that I don't have or that I want or need. And so I have like a morning routine. And so that incorporates, spending some time doing that. But I think there's also a lot of value, in sticking that, maybe you have two separate notebooks, but sticking one on your nightstand. And so before you go to bed, reflecting back on the day and really thinking, as to what happened, in the day. And then your mind is going to be like thinking about those things as you sleep. Right. And then you'll wake up in a different state of mind. A few years ago, my husband was deployed. I had 3 young kids at home. So I had a lot of things going on in life. And I was reading a book called 1,000 Gifts by a gal named Anne Voskamp. And she had a goal of writing down 1,000 little gifts. I mean, it could be as small as the sun coming through the window, right, on the fall leaves or something like that. It didn't have to be huge things, but I was like, that's great. And so I just grabbed a little notebook and I just started writing bullet points, as I would notice things, as I would think of them. And so I could, I just kind of kept it out, on my counter so that throughout the day, because sometimes even at the end of the day, you kind of forget what happened all day today, forget the little things. With the goal of going towards that. And then it was cool when my husband got home from that deployment, which was almost a year long, I got to share that notebook with him. And now he could go back. And then I'm going back and retelling the stories and remembering all those little gifts that had happened over the time that he was gone. And that was really a blessing. So that time I just kind of, whenever things were happening, I tried to be mindful and write it down as soon as I could so that I didn't miss it, to go in that book.
I think the idea of the bullet points also is really a great idea, because I think so many people think, oh, gratitude journal, oh, what am I going to write? I have to write all this stuff. And first of all, a gratitude journal is personal. So you put in it whatever you want to put in it. But I think the idea, especially for people starting out with bullet points, that's easy to do. Yes. And that's an easy practice to get into a normal habit or regular habit. I like that. I'm going to take that myself and start doing that, because I like to journal in the morning. Same thing, kind of starts my day in a very positive, peaceful way. I do a little bit of meditation, a little bit of journaling. I try to do a little yoga. Some days that works, some days it doesn't.
Right.
I'm 50. But what I had gotten into a habit for a while, or I recently gotten out of the habit, is at the end of the night to then say, what are 3 great things that happened at the end of the night, or during the day. And I do keep that journal by my bedside. And so I like the concept of having this second book, just wherever. I mean, I could have it right here. Actually, I have 2 books sitting right here. I could use one as that journal. Because there are so many little blessings that we have during the day. And if we don't notice them, we can't celebrate them.
Exactly.
And if we can't celebrate them, we can't elevate them. So I love that. I love those 3 tips. I think these are things that people can get their minds around and really put into practice right now.
Right. And it doesn't really take a whole lot of time. It doesn't cost you anything, any money. Right. And it will only give you a great return on investment for the time that you do put into it, so it's almost kind of a no-brainer. Why wouldn't we? But I think, we just get lazy and we just get distracted and we just get busy. And so it's a way to slow down and, and really see what we have. And I think it's really just going to actually help us to be more focused on the other things we're doing because of that mindset we're creating.
I love it. And you said one word that I try not to say ever, busy. We all have things that we're doing, and that because I know that's one thing. A few years ago, I tried to take the word out of my vocabulary, because we're all quote unquote busy. We all have things going on in our lives, but we're never too busy to just step back and look at the beauty in the world, look and appreciate the people in our lives and the things that we have. So I think that's really an essential piece to the journal, is to really take the time to appreciate what you really do have. So I know, Lissa, you have a gratitude challenge that you've been promoting recently. And I would love for you to share, what it's about, how people get involved, and then where they can find it.
Yes. Yes. So, again, like for me, I need those reminders, sometimes it's a reminder on my phone. And that would be another tip I'll put out there too, that especially when you're creating a new habit, that even if it already is a habit, put a reminder on your phone for whatever time you want to write in your gratitude journal, or even just pause and say, okay, 3 things I'm grateful for, go. I guarantee you, if Denise was standing there with $100 in her hand and said, if you can tell me 3 things you're grateful for right now, I'll give this to you. You'd find something, you would find things really easily. And so sometimes we need those triggers. So what I'm doing is I'm putting together this gratitude text challenge, which I think is going to be really fun, because I know I'm launching this right before Thanksgiving, and life is full. I like to say that word. I don't like to say the B word either. Life is full, and so we've got a lot of things that are happening in our world, but we can all pause and give thanks. And so when I work with women, we talk about 7 key areas of your life: faith, family, friends, your field of work, your finances, your fitness and health, and your fun. And so what we're going to do is each day we'll pick one of those areas. There will be a quote for the day. Then I've created a little 2-minute video to give some thoughts about how to give thanks for that area of your life and where you are in that area. And then a daily challenge, of actually something tangible that you can do to practice gratitude for that specific thing. And so each day there'll be a different focus, really to just get our minds and our hearts focused on, the priorities in our life and, what we already have. And then I can't wait to see, a year from now, what things, people will be giving thanks for, next year at this time, because they've been practicing gratitude, throughout the year. So the live version of this is going to be via text, but then I will do it in an email series, and it's free. So yeah, you can find it at lissafiggins.com. It's Lissa, which is Melissa without the M-E. So it's Lissa. And then Figgins has 2 G's in it also, .com/gratitude. So that's where you can go, and it's, you depend on when you're listening to this, get in on the text version of it, or, you can get it where it'll be emailed to you afterwards. But, like I said, this is something you can do at any time during the year, because we all need a gratitude check-in, right? When it's April, and, and we've kind of forgotten what we were thankful for back in November.
Yeah. I think usually around January 15th, everybody needs to reconnect, because throughout the holidays and then the new year, and then January, as much as people make resolutions and they're going to do all these great things, it just seems like by January 15th, maybe the 20th, everything's kind of fallen off the way, fallen by the wayside. And so for me, like the end of January, beginning of February is always a great time to kind of reassess. Some people do it in January, oh, this is what we're going to do. But I think there's so much expectation with that. And that's what I love about your challenge. And it's almost like, I hate to call it a challenge, because it's so much more than, than a challenge. It really is a gratitude. I don't know, I want to say lifestyle, because I talk lifestyle all the time.
Sure,
but it is so much more, with what you're providing people, and really to help everybody elevate their gratitude and really bring it to, really to the forefront of everybody's mind. Because I think if we all enjoyed more gratitude, express more gratitude in our daily lives, we'd be living in a different world today.
Right.
And whether, and I even mean just like in our own world, the people who are around us, the things that we have in our lives, we would live in a different place, even if most of it is up here.
Yeah. And I think the challenge comes in taking that intention and putting it into action, right? Because we can have great intentions, we can have something, like you said, January is a perfect example of, we have great intentions for a few weeks, and statistics show by the 3rd week of January, most people have already, forgotten or fallen off the wagon that they thought they were going to stay on, or whatever it is. And so it's really how do we put action behind this intention, when it's, whether it's gratitude or whether it's, another goal that we have in our life, or business or health or anything else, right?
That's perfect. That's perfect. This is going to be this. I think this is the start of something very beautiful with this challenge. It's something that will really just help people doesn't matter where they are in their life. It doesn't matter rich, poor, wherever you are in your world, wherever you are at this stage, there is something about changing your mindset, thinking, living in gratitude, that will absolutely elevate who you are, what you are, and what you want to be.
Exactly.
So,
I'm excited. I'm excited to hear what people are grateful for. And I think when you hear other, when you see other people being grateful around you, that's the beautiful thing about at least us setting this time aside this time of year, is it kind of forces us to vocalize it and then to hear it from other people. And I think that just kind of spurs you on to wanting to do more of that yourself.
Absolutely. And so you just made me think of this. We probably should have started with this, but what are 2 things that you're grateful for in 2021?
Wow. Oh gosh. I mean, the list is long for this this year, but I would say one, just I've had some new opportunities this year that I could have never anticipated, would be coming. And so that's just been really a gift. And I would also say too, I mean, all of it kind of rolls in together, but there have been new relationships with people on the other side of the world that is, pretty spectacular to be able to do that, as well as people who are, who are closer to where I am. And so just as I'm looking back and just seeing how God is just working in all these circumstances, and then how he's using me to be able to, reach out and help women with their priorities and with their life and with, their business, if they have something they're building, it's such a gift, and yeah, so thankful.
Absolutely wonderful. Lissa, and you truly are a gift. You're a gift in my life. You're a gift to those of us at Living Healthy List, and to all of our listeners and your clients and your listeners. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for being with us today at the Wonder Series. We're here every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Central Standard Time. Today is actually the day before Thanksgiving. So think about gratitude, think about the things that you are thankful for, and share those with the people that you love. We'll see you next week, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, next Wednesday. I'm Denise Stegall, CEO at Living Healthy List. Until next week, I leave you with this: healthy living, happy life.